Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
It's March Madness with Sports Interaction. NHL, NBA, March Madness, MLB, and so much more. It's crazy. Play Pinata Picks at Minute Madness. Exclusive games with insane odds you can't play anywhere else. Make your next bet with Sports Interaction. Download the app in Ontario, use the QR code you see at the bottom of your screen, or head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN to get started. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Welcome back, Leafs fans. I missed you. I hope your week is going well. I hope your week is going as well as that game did, because the Leafs tame the Panthers into tiny little pussycats and win 6-2 in the Sunshine State. Happy Thursday, everybody. I am happy to see you all here. I hope your week is going great. Fouad, it's been a while since we streamed together, brother. How are you? How was that
Good.
game? How great was that win? How great was that win?
What a sigh of relief. You know, it's really funny. On the last stream, I had Steve on, and he tweeted out, he's like, wow, what a game to have me on. And I'm like, it wasn't even like planned. It was the Islanders. I just saw that there was I was alone in the schedule, so I put him on. And then it ended up being like the worst effort of the season. But it's good to know the sky is not entirely folding in on itself. And wow, they played a great game. There's been a narrative going around that the Leafs are playing all of these teams that are fighting for their playoff lives and that they have more to play for than the Leafs. You know, it's the Buffalo game, the Ottawa game, the Islanders game. And, I thought today, I was hoping, because the Panthers have something to play for.
They do.
But the Leafs have something to play for too. They couldn't. I was angry that they didn't get into that mindset that we have to be killers. And tonight, they were killers. They
took down the Panthers.
They took down a team that
swiftly
is fighting for their playoff lives, and it wasn't really even close much of the game.
Which is funny because if you watch the game, the Panthers were leading in shots almost the entire game. By a lot.
Entire game.
The beginning of the game, it was pretty even keeled, but then the Panthers just sort of took over offensively. But the big guns came out tonight. They were scoring up and down the lineup. Kerfoot gets another goal, second in a couple games, which got to be happy for him.
Oh, you said big guns, then you said Kerfoot.
I know. And we're going to talk about Matthews. We're going to talk about Marner. We're going to talk about Bunting in the game that he had. And we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about John Tavares passing Maurice Richard in the all-time points list, which is pretty remarkable.
Means he's better than him of all time, I guess. That just means that
that's right.
John Tavares is better than Maurice Richard. You can clip that.
You see this? Look at this.
Put
Brand new shirt. Brand new shirt. Brand new shirt. I wore it. I got it yesterday, and I was so happy it came in, and I'm so glad that he played so well tonight. It was such a great game.
Fantastic.
And we're going to talk all about it. So welcome to Game Over. If it is your first time here, my name is Lauren Williamson. On the other side of the screen is Fouad Suleiman. And Fouad,
what up?
After that Islanders game, boy, I turned it off after it went up 3-1, and when the Leafs scored, Poppy scores 5 minutes into the game, 5 minutes and 5 seconds into the game. He just looks so good right now, doesn't he? Like he commented the other day in an interview that he feels like he turned a corner on the wrist injury, and boy, doesn't it look like it.
Yeah, I mean, like Austin Matthews, they said on the broadcast that this was only his second his 10th multi-goal game of the season, which is kind of like, that's kind of why we've been, he's been having a great season objectively, but that's kind of why us Leaf fans are like, what's with Austin? And now we kind of know it was because of the wrist injury, and I'm really glad that it's kind of healed. And oh my God, I almost had an entire panic attack when he was doubled over, and that, the broadcast.
Poppy takes a puck to the cojones, right? Poppy takes a puck to the cojones.
Listen, it's the only time I'll ever celebrate saying, thank God he got hit in the midsection, because he was doubled over, and they're like, he's hurting his wrist. And I'm like, no, not the wrist. Like, not the magic wrist. The Stanley Cup host on that wrist.
It was just coming back. But it wasn't. It was a different body part. And again, I completely resonate with that, even though I don't know what that's like. Everybody's been hit in that midsection sometime in their life, and I was relieved as well to see that that's all it was, and that
was all it was. Yeah,
that's all it was.
Like, I'm pretty sure when they said wrist, I think all of Toronto started Googling can you donate a wrist to, and that was their Google bar.
Yeah.
So, I would have offered it up. I don't know how, probably can't score 50 goals with my wrist, but good thing we don't have to find out.
Yeah.
You mentioned John Tavares, and wow, was he awesome today? Because
he had a good game.
He's the what Steve calls a little thing king.
Yeah.
He's the best garbage man in the NHL. Like, he is, like, Tavares will never wow you with his speed, his skating. He's not going to pull off a Michigan, though that would be hilarious if he did. But like, his game is all strength and being at the right place in the right time. And like, yeah, I think he can play till he's 50. Like, that's why he is so stable the way he plays.
He's going to be the Yager of Canada.
He could be. Like, his game has never been predicated on speed and lightning athleticism, but man, he plays the game with his mind, and he like won those battles, and he set up all like the 3 of those goals.
Yep. Yeah,
Like,
he had a hat trick of assists tonight. He had a hat trick of assists tonight. Yeah, absolutely. And the Leafs do go up early, and both teams sort of trade penalties. Not a lot happens on either one of them, and then the Panthers tie it up just before the end of the first. And it goes into the second period, tied 1-1.
That goal.
Yeah,
that goal was something, eh? And the first goal.
Yeah,
for the Panthers.
Yep. Well, it was. I mean. So I was a couple minutes behind the game, so I had to restart it like from the beginning. So my sister actually texted me and was like, "Oh my gosh, what just happened?" And I was like, "Don't tell me, oh my gosh." And then so I didn't know. Yeah, she didn't spoil it for me. Thank you, Leslie. She didn't spoil it for me, and I saw it and I thought he saved it. And it was in that moment where I was like, there's a part of me, and of course this would bite me in all of our collective behinds if this was the other way around, but wouldn't it be cool if there was a rule where if you catch the puck, it's like baseball rules, right? Where like you can catch it behind the thing, but if you catch it, then you catch it.
No,
I know.
because let's just say,
because
it went to the back of the net.
It'll collect. I know. But in that moment, like just the first save that he saves with right up Main Street there, and then funnily enough, the same place that Austin Matthews gets hit. It was quite the save that wasn't. The first save was great. Didn't get the rebound. Matt
Both of them were fantastic. Like,
I know.
That would have been the save of the year. Never mind the Sorokin save the last game. Like, he would look like Neo in the Matrix. He's like, shoo, like shoo. Like he was just like the reflexes. He could see the puck.
It was behind him. He wasn't even looking. The look catch. That's ridiculous.
But
also,
the reflexes looked good.
We have a really quick question in the chat that I want to ask. If McCabe fought Tkachuk after pushing Murray, who would you say would win? Probably Matthew Tkachuk. I don't know. I haven't seen Jake McCabe win
a fight. Yeah. Normally, if it's a Leaf fighting somebody else, I would say I would probably give the advantage to somebody else on the other team, because none of the Leafs are real fighters aside from Wayne Simmons, who barely gets in the lineup anymore.
Yeah.
Is Kyle Clifford even in the organization anymore?
Yeah, he's down in the Marlies. But like Wayne Simmons is coming up on a year without scoring a goal, which is not great. But then, going into the second period, Nylander gets a goal a minute and 21 seconds in, and then Matthews scores another one
80 points.
97 seconds later, and puts the Buds up 3-1. And then the Panthers pull within 1. Did you get a little nervous, Fouad, knowing that how well the Panthers have been playing this year and last year with, being the comeback kids, when the Panthers pulled within 1?
Not entirely. I mean, not entirely. They're not. I didn't see them like being overly dominant. Like, I didn't think that they were crashing the net, and I didn't see them really dominate the game at any certain point. So like when I saw it was 2-1, it was like, it's all right. Or 3-1, I'm like, no, I think they got it. Like the blood pressure stayed at a reasonable level. But yeah, again, like seeing Austin Matthews, this is what we need to see. Like, if you're gonna win these playoff series, Austin Matthews has got to be the 60 goal scoring Austin Matthews we saw last season.
Yep.
And hopefully it looks like, hey, he might be turning the corner.
Yeah, like he's, he said himself that he feels like he's turned the corner on the injury. And Matthews getting, his 34th goal for 34 this year, obviously a stark contrast to how well he played in goal scoring last year. But definitely good to see him back. I wonder if he could make a little push here. What do you think the actual odds are for Matthews hitting 50 goals with 10 games left?
I mean, he's got 34. He would have to have some sort of.
He would have to have 16.
16 and like
16 and 8 games.
That would be some Super Saiyan stuff.
A couple
right
hat
there.
tricks. You do a couple hat tricks.
Would be the stuff of legends.
That would be pretty sweet.
That would be worth a banner in itself if you did that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Matthews, our NDP producer Robert Malloy, Austin Matthews recovering from that puck he took at the end of the game. Quote, "I hope you guys don't mind, but I am sitting down for this one." But I do not blame you.
No problem.
Listen, I used to play ball hockey a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
In a basketball gym in a community center, and I got a slap shot with a rubber ball, and I literally was crying. Crying.
Yep.
And then all the guys are just being nice. They're all like older guys, like, "Oh, do some squats, it'll help you." And they're all just giving me advice, and I was just like, I never felt more cared for by my fellow man than that, because it was just a universal pain they all felt.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
I played soccer for a long time, so I have been kicked in the nether regions, and it is not fun. Even though it's different, it's still not something I would recommend. And Austin, please sit down, get that man a beanbag chair for the love of God. But
right.
The Leafs pull within one, and then finally, we got to talk about the most important thing that happened in the game, Fouad. The most important thing that happened in the game.
I tweeted that, is this what it feels like to win a first round series when we got a 5-on-3 power play for the first time all season?
In game 71.
Game 71. I saw it and I was
there are teams that have had, there are 6 teams that have had over 10 5-on-3s. 6 teams that have had over 10. And we're like, yay. Like someone's, Gary Bettman's going to call that ref tomorrow and be like, what are you doing? You're ruining everything.
It's just bad luck. It's just so funny.
Do you think it's bad luck? I don't think it's bad luck.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that not a single penalty has happened against the Leafs while they've been on the power play this year. You really believe that?
Maybe. I'd have to go through a lot. Like sometimes my memory is pretty terrible. Sometimes I could barely remember the game I watched. So I'd have to go through it. I mean, if anybody in the chat wants to do some investigative journalism and watch every Leafs 5-on-4 power play this season, please do it and give it to us, and we will post your Zapruder film to find out the truth behind why they have not
World Star Hip Hop. Your World Star Hip Hop video of it.
Basically, I want to see it, but yeah, great. I mean, it's fantastic, and they got a goal off of it, right?
Yeah, Michael Bunting. And boy, didn't he look pleased about it. He took a penalty earlier in the game, and then there was a penalty that almost went against him that wasn't his fault in the third period. But he gets a big goal to put the Leafs back up by 2, and he just looks so happy every time he scores a goal. He just looks like it's the best thing ever. Yeah,
he's one of the emotional leaders in the team. I love the personality he brings. But yeah, that non-high sticking call, I might be just bad at my job because I've never seen that yet where they review a high sticking call and they turn it back. That's a pretty cool rule. I mean, it's good that they implemented that. Like normally we give the refs and all the officials crap, but I think that's a good rule because a high stick is pretty easy to overturn. I mean, knowing these officials, they'll probably watch the little iPad for 10 minutes, but
yeah,
normally in a high stick, it's pretty cut and dry. And the fact that they overturn it,
yeah,
obviously it's good in our favor, but could you imagine a playoff series ending on a high sticking call like that?
I know.
Yeah, I guess they want to avoid all that human error.
and honestly, when the referees called it back, I was like, okay, but can we actually like get this group of refs for the playoffs? Because there weren't a lot of penalties that I felt were really like badly missed. There was maybe 1 or 2 on each side, and it was clear that once the Leafs had gotten 2 power plays, they were, the refs were looking to call one against them. But
game managing.
Yeah, there was some game management, but it was responsible. It wasn't like they were like, "Oh, well, sorry, we can't review it." Like, it was clear that it wasn't Michael Bunting's stick, right? And it ends up being Radko Gudas. Thank goodness, because even though Bunting puts the Leafs back up by 2, you have to think that if he takes 2 penalties in a game again, that he's going to have another talking to, right? Matthew, Leafs are 100% with 5-on-3 this year. You're right, Matthew. That's a great statistic. Thank you. We're batting 1,000 right now.
Batting 1,000 right there. That's a stat. Somebody said in the chat that they would be forced to award. So they would have to be forced to award them a 5-on-3 in the playoffs, and Bettman wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gary Bettman would
his head would explode.
March onto the ice and lie down in the center of the ice before that happens.
He would do like that awful trend. He would like take super glue and glue himself to the middle of the ice. That's what to his digital boards. To his digital boards. To his digital boards.
Oh, that's like from the NBA playoffs last season, where a Minnesota fan. I think they're protesting something about the owner owning chicken farms, but like super glued himself to the hardwood, and I'm like. Yeah. And they got it off pretty quickly. I don't think the plan was well thought out.
No.
But that was I just remembered that. That's a funny one. That was during the play-in game.
Yeah.
Good times. But it's good that Michael Bunting and the referees seem to have made peace.
Do you think so?
He was in the doghouse. Like he could not like a player could have just speared him through the boards and they would not call a penalty on this guy.
Yeah.
And he went over, I know the broadcast, like he went over and he was ready to lose his mind shit about the non-call or the phantom.
The call that almost was.
Yeah. And kudos to the refs for keeping a cool head, because that could have gone the other way. It could have been a 10-minute misconduct. Could have been two penalties against the Leafs. So that might have tilted the scales a little bit there.
Absolutely. And it was a great game for him, honestly. I was so glad when David Alter tweeted out the line rushes for tonight, because honestly, seeing Michael Bunting back with Tavares and Nylander is so good. Like, they're so good together, and Matthews and Marner are just so good together. And it's really clear that Matthews really likes playing with Yarncroke. Like, somehow he just fits so well there. And after how well they produced tonight, you have to think that maybe they're going to give this line combination a little bit of runway, because it has looked so good. And then maybe when O'Reilly comes back, you can stick him on the third line and have the 3-headed monster that we all dream of having, right?
I think that would be the case. I saw I think Carlo Koliakovo tweeted out the his prediction for the lines. He had Matt Murray starting in net, which who knows? But I know he had the 3-headed monster as well. I think you want to do that if you trade for a guy that his whole career, essentially, he's been a centerman. I don't think, slotting him into a playoff series, putting him fish out of water at the wing. I mean, not like he'll be bad at it, but you want to maximize your guys as best you possibly can.
Absolutely.
And hopefully Sheldon Keefe, I think he's like one of those people that's really restless, and he's just like, he just looks at the lines and he's like, I have to change something. I just gotta change something.
I know.
Achari, go to defense. Yarncroke and net. He has like a board and he's just drawing them. Like he has that, like the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just like with the board there. But yeah, no, you gotta keep the chemistry at some point. Chemistry means something. Like,
yeah, it does.
I know it's overused and people say, oh, they got to gel. They got to gel. It's real. It's a real thing, especially against the Tampa Bay team that's been together forever, right? Like, Those guys have gone to war together.
Yeah.
Right?
And you don't see now, obviously they have won things, so it's a different conversation. But you don't see John Cooper like deciding that he's just going to change people around where they play up and down the lineup like crazy. Like there were times obviously this season where he did shorten the bench and star players were, benched at the end of the game. But that's not like, oh, I'm going to put Matthews up with Kerfoot and Yarncroke. Like, it's just not. Why would you do that? It almost killed all of us.
We had Steve on. Like, I was kind of like, like he was kind of testing out the material. Like, I was kind of like riling him up. And like when he mentioned that, like the poor man almost burst the blood vessel in his brain. And I was just like, but speaking of John Cooper, he might want to try shuffling those because I don't know if you saw 7-2 the final. Thank you very much to our friends in the nation's capital of Ottawa.
Yep.
For taking down the Tampa Bay Lightning and widening the gap to, I think, 5 points, where the Leafs will have home ice advantage over the Tampa Bay Lightning.
With 2 games in hand, too.
Which they very much need, I think.
Yep.
I mean, the Lightning aren't looking great, but
they're running out of runway.
Go ahead and bet against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm not going to say that we're going to go sweep them or something. Like, I would never call them dead. Like, the Lightning and the Bruins are like cockroaches and Twinkies. Like, they'll survive anything.
Everything.
So, but
yeah,
they've been shaky. Like, do you think that they're just tired as hell and they're just sick of this regular season crap because they've been through the ringer? They've been to 3 straight finals. That they like. Do you think that they're crumbling and getting old, or are they're just bored and they're sick of it?
I don't think you get sick of it. I think maybe they are a little bit exhausted because if you think about it, like think about the last 3 think about the last 3 summers and how they've been for you. Right? Like 3 summers ago you're in the thick of COVID. The year after that you're still sort of coming out of it and you win both of those. And then last year you have a great summer where everybody can go and it's super fun, but then you lose. So I imagine that to some degree there has to be some taxing that happens physically. And and I'm going to do this right now. If you think that the Leafs should beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, you should like and subscribe to the podcast, just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you don't think that, like even if you think the Leafs are going to get swept, if you think the Leafs are going to forfeit, if you think like the Leafs should move and be the second team in Arizona, like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. My name is Fouad Suleiman. I'm with Lauren Williamson here.
You're on this side.
Just share everything. I don't know. I don't point the sides anymore because I'm
share
always
the
wrong.
win, man. Like what a great win for the Leafs. Like I said, we start off the stream talking about the bounce back win, and let's talk about some good things. Let's talk about some good things that happened today. We're not going to talk about the bad things regarding the Panthers before the game. We're going to talk about awesome jerseys there were and how great that whole thing was because the Florida Panthers, even though I'm not a Florida Panthers fan, they had some really nice pride jerseys, and it was really, really, really nice to see. And they were
nice jerseys.
Gorgeous jerseys. Gorgeous.
Very
there
nice.
have been some very, very nice pride jerseys this year, which is awesome. And more good news in Leafland. Ilya Samsonov and his wife Maria welcomed their baby this afternoon. So big, huge congratulations to them. New parents for the first time. I am not a parent to any actual living physical human children. I have cats, but I have nieces and nephews, and I remember when they were born how exciting it was. And so obviously sending big love and congratulations to the Samsonov family because that's such an awesome thing. And I'm so glad that we got the win for that to happen. Like I hope Samsonov was able to like watch the game with his newborn and be like, F yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean? I hope he
I mean, like the Pride game, like, I guess I'm it's good to always focus on the progress.
Let's only talk about the good things. We're not going to talk about. There was a couple people that I think I've never heard of that didn't wear the jerseys, but we're not going to talk about them because they're not important. We're going to talk about the good things. Yeah. Why would we talk about that? Let's talk about how awesome the jerseys were. You know what I mean? And like. I got my Pride hat back there. You actually can't see it, but I have my Leafs Pride hat right back there. Oh, it still has the tag on it.
Show and tell.
Right? Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I actually have 2.
Quite nice.
I actually have 2, but yeah. So, it was What a great win. I'm so glad it wasn't another Islanders 2.0. Jesus, man. I couldn't watch another one of those. And when the Panthers pulled within one, I did get nervous. I know you said you didn't. I did. Chat, did you get nervous when they pulled within one? Make sure you tell it in the chat.
Yeah, did you get nervous? I mean, that's kind of asking, like, did the sun come out today? Or did the sun rise today? It didn't really come out today, but did it rise today? It's, I mean, if they didn't, I would have slammed the panic button and said, we need to talk, because they were losing to teams that have things to play for.
Yep.
And, and I mean, the next game, they're going to have another team with something to play for in the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that is undermanned now with the unfortunate injury to Andrei Svechnikov. But they got
that's a huge blow to the Canes, because they're already a low-scoring team.
And so that's gonna be. I mean, they have a bit of a tough schedule coming out, the Leafs. This is going to be a good test, actually, I think.
Yeah, because let's see. To finish out the month, we play the Canes, and then the Nashville Predators. We get to go visit Tyson Barrie and Ryan McDonough. Yippity-doo-dah. Yahoo. And Pecorine.
Tyson Barrie over under 3 goals now.
Oh, my God. And then we play the Panthers again at the end of next week, or halfway through next week. Right, so now that'll be at home. The Panthers will be at Toronto at that point. And man, when do you think the Leafs are gonna grab their playoff spot here? When do you think it's gonna be?
It's normally pretty late in the season, just because like the way that the math works. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure. I mean, like you could probably say it's 99.99% that they get in, obviously, but it's normally pretty from what I remember, just because of the way that the league is set up and like all the there's like, there's teams that are like 10 points out, and then technically they're not mathematically eliminated, but like they need like 16 different variables to happen. So I'd say it's probably like middle of April. I'd say early middle of April we'll have clinchmas, as we say. But I feel like the clinching the playoffs is not going to be an event anymore for Leafs fans.
No, it'll be an event when we get to the second round. But
2018, 2019, people were like, let's go. We clinched the playoffs, and then, all the things happened. And I think fans are just like, so what?
Like,
something else.
Realistically, we could clench a playoff spot. Clench a playoff spot by the end of the month. Because after tonight's win, we're 4th in the league and we have 95 points.
Yeah.
Like, that's not nothing.
And the Panthers, who were the closest wild card, had 79.
Yeah, 79.
I saw correctly in the broadcast. So you're talking about a 16-point variance there. Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty far.
It's coming. It's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
It's completely foregone conclusion.
Because the Leafs
Riley,
have played. Yeah, Morgan Riley did not play tonight.
Noticeably absent. Now, I know you're gonna I don't know. Like early in the season, everybody was kind of like whenever he was out and he came back in, and then they went on a slide. And then, we were all kind of defending and saying, correlation doesn't equal causation, as, we would learn in like philosophy or science. But what do you think? Like, do you think they play a better defensive game without Morgan Riley? Like, it's nothing against the guy. I'm not going to come here and pile on and say, trade on this. It's not what we do here. But I don't know. There's something to be said there. Something not even something to be said. Something to be mulled over.
Right.
I can mull over it.
I mean, I don't think that it's that cut and dry.
No, it never is.
I think that sometimes they think Morgan Riley is better at defense than he maybe is. So when he's not in the lineup, maybe everybody's smart and, they do the top button up on their suit, so to speak. Whereas maybe when he's playing, they, they don't do the top button up, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I think maybe when he's not in the lineup, everybody feels an obligation to step up their game. And, I mean, that's a small sample size again, right? Because that's the first game that he's been out after the trade deadline. And there's been ups and downs in the rest of the defensive lineup. Like, Liljegren did not have a good game either night, but he seemed okay tonight. Hall had a good game tonight. He had a couple, he almost had a really good breakaway. I think he got at least one assist. Like, Hall looked pretty decent tonight. I'm not trying to not answer your question. I just
It's
wonder
something to think about.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously, you know, Morgan Riley's probably going to be a Leaf for a long time, right? His extension hasn't even kicked in. I think it kicks in after this summer.
He's going to be a Leaf for life.
Yeah,
or
at
I
least
don't even know if there's
the foreseeable future.
like there's a no move clause probably attached to that, which is
I think so.
yeah,
You could pull it up on Cap Friendly.
That's a trend. I mean, that's a toughie, but
yeah,
it's just something. I'm all over it. It's a good thing Liljegren had a better game because, like, I literally thought, like I was saying it in the last show, that like he was gonna start walking towards the bus, and then the door is just gonna close, and then just, and I'm like, they're leaving. Sheldon Keefe is leaving him in Long Island.
Yeah,
and he's just gonna have to whatever people do in Long Island.
They go get bagel and schmear. Leslie in the chat has a good point. No, if anything, I'm happy to see them happy to play so well without him. Just means we have depth. I totally agree on that point. When you put it that way, it makes a lot of sense that, you know, if they play well without Morgan Riley, then great. They did not play well without TJ Brody the other day. So let's not do that. Like, is TJ Brody the new Jake Muzzin, where if we lose him, we're up the creek without a paddle?
Yeah, I mean, because I guess TJ Brody is one of those guys that's like rare on the Leafs, where he's like a stay-at-home defenseman, like very low event hockey player. I guess Shen is kind of like a older, like, you know, very wild card in that sense. Like,
he's not going to do the TJ Brody slide, but he'll crash you into the end boards instead.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Man.
Yeah,
there was one scrum where he was, I don't know the Florida Panthers player, but he towered over that player. Like he looked like Andre the Giant. Just
not
like I thought he was gonna put his hand on the helmet and just lift him up. Yeah, that was I saw Matthew in the Shadow said, do we get I guess we might get a Joseph Woll appearance perhaps.
Yes.
This weekend because it's a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll have Joseph Woll on Saturday or Sunday?
I think so. I think they even said that Samsonov isn't going to rejoin them on the road trip, which is nice. It's nice. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
It's like, paternity leave. You should get it.
Yeah, like they're not going to be home until the 27th at minimum. And his baby will be 4 days old by then. I don't think it's unreasonable to say maybe they give him, 4 or 5 days off. Even though he historically has said he doesn't like having time off. I think maybe now that'll be different a little bit. Time
off is tough.
Yeah.
For these players because they're such creatures of habit. They're such rhythm people, especially goalies. Like, I think if you upset their routine like one little bit, it becomes like a disaster for them.
And Samsonov has said more than once that he would rather play every single game than have to miss any because he just plays better when he plays more consistently. And Caps fans said the same thing when we signed him in the offseason, right? So, again, congratulations to him and his family. That's such an exciting thing. Sam Lafferty is also expecting a bebe in the next couple of weeks in the gap between when the end of the season ends and the beginning of the playoff happens. So that'll be very exciting. And we will be there for the playoffs. We will be there later this week, and we are going to be here for the rest of the season and for many, many more to come because this is Game Over Toronto, and we love this, and we love when the Leafs win. And I think this was just such a great night and just a great stream, and just this. If they play this well in the playoffs, it's going to be really hard to beat them. But it's the consistency.
This is to their potential. This is one of those games where we see.
Yeah. This is the ones that make us frustrated because we know they can play this well, and then they don't, and it's like,
it's just how freaking talented the team is. Like they're top to bottom, especially when Ryan O'Reilly comes back and he's going to be probably on that third line. Like you're going to see, and then you get Matthew Knies, who's we've talked about it. He's a wild card, but hey, pretty talented kid looks like. Like come on, the talent is so great on this team. Like it makes you really appreciate that.
And we've been playing this well without Ryan O'Reilly, our biggest acquisition of the trade deadline. So if he can come back and regain some chemistry, I think maybe now is the time where we settle down the lines, maybe stop doing so many smoothies, maybe less smoothies.
Maybe they just got to make Sheldon Keefe, like, just give him a break. I think they just got to be like, Sheldon, go golfing.
We need some meat and potatoes, not another vegetable smoothie. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just need your meat and potatoes. That's what you need. Meat and potatoes. And tonight was a meat and potatoes game. It was chicken.
I could go for some meat and potatoes right now.
Wouldn't that be nice? I want ribs. Oh my gosh. the big pile of like waffle fries. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna make myself hungry. So for Game Over Toronto, Fouad, do we have anything to finish off before we finish off the stream?
No, I don't think we do. We'll be back Saturday. Well, not me and you. I believe it's Harnish and Armand.
Yes, it'll be Harnish and
I
Armand.
believe it's the Super
Saturday.
Friends.
Yes, absolutely.
And then Sunday it'll be myself and Harnish, I believe. So yeah, good slate coming up here, and yeah, plenty of exciting things on the horizon. A lot of fun things where I'm happy to announce down the road. But no, playoffs are coming, and I'm friggin' stoked. Whatever happens, I'm stoked because it's gonna be a lot of emotions, a lot of people, more people in the chat. Win or lose, we're gonna have a lot of things to say. So
and we'll be there for all of it.
We're gonna be there coming, for all and I'm just like, come on, let's go.
Absolutely.
Riled up.
Absolutely. So everybody in the chat, everybody listening on their podcast, on their way to work tomorrow morning, thank you for watching the stream tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and make sure you guys leave your comments down below on when you think the Leafs are going to claim their playoff spot, because I think it's going to be before the end of the month. I am Lauren Williamson for Game Over Toronto. On the other hand side of my screen is...
I'm Fouad Solomon. You can follow me at Fouad_sports. And catch me on the STPN social medias as I put up hot takes about hockey and basketball twice a week because, I like doing that. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
To close it out, because I'm always bad at closing out shows, I'm just going to say goodbye.
Absolutely. And if you want some of this merch, like Fouad's sweet shirt or this sweet sticker, make sure you guys hit up the STPN shop. It's awesome. Have a great weekend, and we will be back Saturday. Everybody, take care. Have a good night.
Peace.
Game over. Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.